Hello, welcome to One Piece, Baron, Omatsuri, and the Secret Island. It's One Piece's sixth, yeah, maybe, yeah. It's the best one so far. It is by far the best one. It does amazing work. I want to give it first of all. Oda is a fantastic storyteller, fantastic, love it. And then the staff director is Mamoru Hosoda, which is a phenomenal director and has done plenty of movies like Mirai, Bella, The Boy and the Beast, Wolf Children, Summer Wars, Girl Who Left Through Time. He is a fantastic director, and everyone has their flaws, but he damn near perfect in what he does. It's wonderful. It's a great movie. I love it. The stylistic choice, the story, the dark themes. It's very much the darkest One Piece story there is, and it's a movie, and it's wonderful. So of course we get to start it's a feature film. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. Uh, we get the intro. Of course, it's going to be the big. You see this wonderful view from a top, where the ship's in the water, and all you see is surrounded by water, but you're zoomed out so far that you just can't see it, and it's just wonderful view because it just slowly pans through the ocean, and then you get views of like coral reefs, like fantastic artwork, um, beaches, stuff like that. Um, Before that, you get the intro. They find a flyer to go to this island. The thing about this story, you should probably not give it every detail of every detail. Probably doesn't carry its weight like in normal One Piece, but their overall themes are very strong in this movie. It is wonderful. They find a flyer to go to this island, supposed to be a resort for pirates. Of course, that's not what it is. They get to an island, they have to find it, and it's like you have to earn this stuff apparently. And by playing games like catching a giant goldfish, uh, a ring toss onto people while going down a river, and it's wonderful. It's very fun and lighthearted at the beginning, and then it takes a dark turn, and I appreciate that the color palettes like swap in a way that's just a very much darker theme halfway through. After you get through the first game, which the first game's really lighthearted, the second game it starts getting a little more of a it starts telling more of a story after the first game in the middle of the second game. Because the second game only has Sanji, Zoro, Usopp, and Nami going through it. Uh, and Robin, Chopper, and Luffy go off to explore the island. Uh, and they all kind of get on their little own paths. Chopper runs into this family of pirates that knows something's wrong. Luffy runs into this one that's got destroyed by the Baron before because he has dark secrets. All the time, there's a little flower right next to him, which you already know something's weird because Robin knows something's wrong from the beginning. Robin talks to the Baron's crew, and they're already off-putting and weird. He knows something about Lily. She learns about Lily Carnation, which turns out to be the flower, but she doesn't know that. Uh, they all go their separate ways a little bit, and Baron's whole goal here is to drive all the crew apart, and then to use them as food for the flower, which we'll get to that later. But all the crew's like really good at driving a wedge between each other. Like Nami and Usopp get really much into a fight. Zoro and Sanji gets into a worse fight they usually have. Sanji gets mad at Luffy. Chopper runs off. He's not really mad at anybody. Uh, Usopp's really probably the most unbothered one here that's been a part of everything, and it's really a nice thing to do because Usopp's strength is always in his personality much more than anything else. Uh, uh, Chopper learns about about the Baron being once a and all of his family, they say, or crew, uh, that they actually realize the Baron's the only one that's aged. So that's the first clue to like something's wrong here. Uh, After the second game, they go to this. The Straw Hats win again. Of course, they've won every game. After that second game, they go to the Baron hosts this grill off, or this just a show for him. And Sanji gets frustrated because everyone's impressed by their chef, and he goes and competes and all that stuff. Uh, while everyone else is kind of like off doing their own thing. Well, Robin gets taken here. Chopper's already been taken from like quarter way through a movie. Um, Nami and Usopp have a little bit more of a fight. Uh, Nami figures out that, or Nami talks to the head, like the vice captain, and he realizes he doesn't have memories. His only memories are when Goldie Roger was the pirate of the day. Like, he didn't realize he was the king of the pirates. He didn't realize he died 20 years ago. And he tries to recall these memories of this storm, because apparently the storm is the only thing he remembers, which is dark themes later on. And he just kind of withers away like a plant. That's when we get another clue of something up. All the crew fights, and the next game he stops a little cooking thing, a little show at a festival, and the next game is everybody gets hunted. Everybody's gonna get hunted. All the crew is gonna get hunted by his people, and because his whole goal this whole time has been to take them all and use them to feed his little Lily Carnation, because the Lily Carnation keeps his crew with him. Like, it can use his memories to bring them to like have them around him, which is very weird. Because it doesn't explain it. This is all implied, just what I'm assuming from knowledge. But we see them later on at the end of the movie that they're just plants, so it's not really their bodies or anything like that. They get withered away like they're plants. Luffy's having to realize that this is the dark themes where Luffy's realized he's actually putting people in danger. People might be dying here. Chopper's missing, Robin's missing, Usopp's missing because he goes missing during the festival of the cook-off. This is a heavy tonal shift. Luffy's very serious from now on. After the Dean cook-off, Robin gets taken, of course, later on. And then that's when, at the beginning of the little hunt, that's when Luffy gets chased off into his the one he ran into earlier, the one that was in the palace. That was an old crew, the last of his last of a crew that Baron once tried to take and feed to the planet. He's the only one left. He runs into him. He tells him what's going on. Yada yada. Then we cut to Chopper, who's with the family, and they're next to a big flower on top of the mountain, which is really weird looking flower. It's like a little metal spiral. You're led to believe this is the flower, and it's just a little spiral going down the mountain, just on top of the mountain, just a little bit, and it's really weird. So it looks like he just feeds. All you do is just put his crew. He puts the crew and Chopper into the flower up there, and it feeds them to it. So the flower can keep having energy to make all these things happen on the island to keep these people alive. Chopper ends up saving the family of pirates, and they all kind of like run away with Luffy, because he gets there and he loses. He can't defeat them. He gets saved by his friend, who his visuals has not aged well, because he still has that little small mustache, and that's just not good. And he does that little greeting, and that's weird. But that's the whole vibe of the movie. The whole vibe is weird. It's just meant to be that way. It's meant to be off-putting. It's meant to be different. And they come back to save the people, and they realize the big thing wasn't a flower. It was like a decoy. It was just arrows that, because Luffy ends up breaking it, and it was just arrows that he shoots from his bow that like the arrows are made out of the plant, and it's kind of weird. After after that, they figure out that the little girl's heard the voices the whole time, so that's what gives them the confidence to like, oh, they're still alive. Because Luffy thinks everyone's dead now. He's been led to believe everyone's dead up until the little girl says something. Luffy's realized his crew's dead. He doesn't know what to do. Yada yada. He figures it out. Inspiration from his new friend. Um, but they realize that the crew's actually in the flower on the shoulder, and it's eating them right now. They're trapped inside, and it shows its real self, and it makes this grotesque like transformation, and it does this really weird, very dark, very something you wouldn't see in One Piece at all in the main series. And it's really interesting to see it because it's very different vibes from a normal One Piece by far. It's very dark because they're dying right now. So what ends up happening is the father of the pirate family ends up shooting an arrow to destroy the plant, which allows Luffy to come in and just beat, like, punch the bear, and it knocks him out once. It's his whole strength was just the flower Lily, and after the Lily gets the Lily Carnation gets destroyed, all you can see all his crew, all the Baron's all the Baron's crew gets turned back into flowers because they're just like weeds and stuff like that, just little plants. They all wither away real fast because you just have this little flash here and there. It's just the Mamoru Hosoda vibes. And then we see the Luffy wakes up. After that, his crew's coming up behind him. Everyone's safe. Baron's defeated. The Lily Carnation looks like it's sprouting again, Robin sees, and the movie ends. It's a very good movie. It's fantastic. The themes changing, Luffy having to deal with darker subjects, the crew. I think the weak point is the crew's infighting, because Usopp and Nami just, there was no good reason for it. I assume the explanation later on would be that the flower gives off this like fighting vibe, and because every bit of them's flower, Baron wouldn't have that problem because everything's the flower except for the Baron, so he's not gonna fight anything. He's not gonna be aggressive to anyone but other people. That's not his crew. But it's not. They don't explain why they have these infightings and these issues, and even they all like recognize like this is not how it normally is, and it's they some maybe it's because everyone's trying to drive them apart, but that's really not a good reason because Sanji and really doesn't talk back to Luffy. Zoro and Sanji doesn't fight as heavy as they do now. Nami and Usopp never fight. Then we say that Robin isn't ever aggressive. Chopper's not mean, and Luffy doesn't really worry about it like that. So like, it's a very weird tonal. It's not very weird tonally. It's just very weird that they've forced in this problem where you could have put in more details to give it that way. But maybe it's just a way of telling a story. Maybe it was in there somehow and they cut it because it wasn't needed. One line of dialogue for exposition probably wasn't super needed if you had to cut other stuff, like, hey, this needs to stay in here. Oh, that, even though that might be important, but you can just say it's something else. It's very understandable what they've done. It's a fantastic movie. Props Oda and the director. I would love to see this because obviously we don't see Brooke and Frankie or Jinbei in this movie. Period. It's right. It takes place between episode 206 and 207. I for I know it takes place between episode 206 and 207, which is 206 is right after Sky Pier is that mini arc of the Marine base, and then right into the pre-arc, the filler arc. So it's between two filler arcs. The Marine base after Sky Pier filler arc, and then the filler arc between right before Water 7. And it takes place during those two. And so we haven't seen Frankie. We're gonna get Frankie probably in the next movie. I don't know for sure, but it's been way longer than I remember that Frankie and Brooke just wasn't part of the crew. I technically Robin's not a like not Robin is, but Robin isn't the biggest crew member yet. So that's really weird to see that it's like this. I felt like after Vivi leaves, it's almost instantly like Water 7, Frankie's here. But I guess Skype here and a few other things uh, does fill in that gap, and it just doesn't feel like that. I'd love to see a movie like this because it's great style, it's darker themes with Frankie, Brooke, and Jinbei, and it would be a fantastic um, way for a One Piece story to go. I love their art style because it doesn't have to be on model every time. They do a lot of like stylized, stylization, whatever you call it. It's very stylized. They use a lot of that for like tonal shifts for when Robin gets serious. When Chopper does a lot more transformation, so it's probably easier to draw him that way. Luffy has a lot more darker like tones, just seriousness. Sanji probably looks the best in this because he does a great job. Of course, their wardrobe changes and it does a great job of that. Um, all of it's really great. I think the biggest, like I said, the biggest drawback is their inviting. But if I have to say, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect because of the forced dialogue. There's not really a big fight. It's very much story driven. It's not a typical One Piece shonen movie of like this is the fighting thing. No, it's very much a this is the story. This is what happens. Luffy doesn't even fight. He gets one punch in, and that's all he needs. It's Baron's very much weak without his little flower to help him. Is there any details I missed that I want to talk about? The music's great. They do a good job at the beginning of the movie at doing the first catching the giant goldfish. They do a lot of like showing how the crew is very close and how together they are and how they've done a great job of helping and filling in for each other's weaknesses. um, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Chopper, they all do stuff very important at the beginning, and it's very nice to see the camaraderie right there. I think that's their strength. I think if I had a whole part of this, like if you could make the first up to the end of the first game go longer until half the movie and then do the tonal shift, like make it really transition better, that'd probably be a fantastic better half. The second game was weak to me because we don't Chopper's obviously not gonna do what he did to me. I don't think Chopper goes off exploring by himself as much as you would think, like he did in this one. Not when something's up. Obviously, Robin recognizes something's up. Luffy wouldn't leave Chopper like that, or Robin. Robin sits there. Of course, Robin's looking with Chopper and her like together, but then Chopper grows out and he just doesn't come back. You would assume they would notice it much quicker. They obviously do care about each other a good bit, so you would think someone would notice. Maybe Luffy, maybe Robin, maybe like Chopper wouldn't have went off. Robin's obviously knowing something's up. Her not speaking up sooner kind of isn't something I can expect her to do that, but at the same time, she usually has a like idea of like, oh, this is what's happening. Let's not do that. But it's usually okay because she knows how it's gonna work. She's very smart about figuring that out. Um, this is the flower. Whoops. Let's see if we can get a better picture. That's the flower when it's transformed into grotesque. We're using all the like little shapes, the body outlines of the crew, and it does a fantastic job at that. The dad of the this is the father of the crew of the family crew. Of course, you see the Baron at the bottom. Very stylized. I really like it. The flowers do a really good job. That doesn't represent anything. Oh, this is the island beginning. You can notice there's no people there, which is really weird. It's very an empty. It has that vibe of a very empty amusement park. I don't know why I didn't think of that word. A empty amusement park. It's very weird vibe, but it's very nice at the same time. So then they kind of fills up with the plants. So it's like, well, there's only people that work here that are here, and that makes it even more weird. That's the crew, and then they all look the same except for Baron, who looks way younger. That's his friend who has that little mustache. That's weird. It's a very, very good looking movie. Let's see if we can zoom in so we can make sure we see all the voice actors here. I'm not gonna read everyone's name out, but I'm gonna scroll through. Do a good job. Trivia. Unlike its predecessors, the regular anime series movie 6 is presented with a different style, which has received with mixed reception. The shading and drawing is often compared to that of second Digimon movie Our War Game, which is a sequel to the movie that's pulled up with Clockwork Island Adventure back in 2001. Many scenes contain computer-generated graphics enhancing the presentation of the movie. That's fine. I think the visuals is definitely different than One Piece. It's I don't know, Scooby Doo and Zombie Island, where it's very Scooby Doo esque of like very light tonally. It's okay, and then it does a gradual like darker and darker theme, never getting too dark. This one gets much darker than Zombie Island to me, but at the same time it has that maybe it's more off-putting than it is because Scooby Doo's visuals never change, while this one really drastically does. The colors themselves. In the trailer for movie 6, Buggy and Betham are seen amongst the audience of the theater, among they have no part in the story. Okay. When it starts into the city, a globe of the earth can be seen on the right, which is unusual because it's supposed to be a One Piece, not the real world. That's an interesting point. I didn't even notice it because One Piece is not like that. I'm sure it's, I don't even know if it's round to be honest. I think it is. But it's not, it's mainly water. It's not land. It's not mainly land. It's mainly water. The biggest land is Grand Line. See if we can find that. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't look like that. It looks nothing like that. Let me move this over. Yeah, the One Piece world looks nothing like that. It looks very much, that's Africa, going to the Middle East, Asia, and the edge of Europe. Okay. It's very interesting, though. But I think it's a great movie. 8 out of 10. I have to give it high recommendations. I think you should watch it. Even if it's not the best One Piece story, it's by far the darkest I've seen. It does a really good job of with those darker themes. It's forced interpersonal conflicts between these characters, but other than that, I don't think it's bad. I think it's more of it's so different that you should watch it and form your own opinions. Really, I like it. I would love to see another movie done like this, or just One Piece movies done differently throughout than a typical way. I don't think I like the whole series to be this way. This is very much a move, like use the big name to your advantage of like do it differently. Make a One Piece movie, but do it differently. And this is the very idea of that, and it does a great job. And I have high recommendations for it. 8 out of 10, would recommend. Came out in March 5th, 2005, 91 minutes long, Japanese. Directed by Mamoru Soda, screenplay Masahiro Ito, One Piece Eiichiro Oda. Fantastic movie. Would recommend. On that, that's it. I appreciate your time. Y'all have a good one. Bye.